Hey, Dave Melinda here, Positive Polarity Podcast. Hope things are going awesome for you this week. I got a question that is just going to knock your socks off, and I'm so excited to bring it. And it's been making me think ever since I started to prepare for this. And it's five simple words, but yet it's so darn powerful. And so the question is, what is holding you back? And it was like, man, when I thought about that, I'm like, there's nothing holding me back. Life is good, right? And then all of a sudden, I sat with it for a little bit. And then I'm like, I got to find out who asked me this question. And so I'm honored to be hanging out with Jenn Beninger. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Dave. It is such an honor to be here to share some and have an amazing conversation with you so your listeners can maybe gain some additional information on what is actually holding them back and what can they do about it.
Awesome. Well, I think I already can tell I'm probably going to be vulnerable on this one. So I'm probably going to be the guinea pig on this. But
Beautiful.
you are the founder and CEO of Genius Unlocked Coaching Institute. Lots of words there. So fill us in before we jump in on what is the Genius Unlocked Coaching Institute.
Great. So thank you for that question. Yes. So what we do here at Genius Unlocked is we support entrepreneurs to release the most vulnerable judgments about themselves so that they can create the life that they want. So what does that mean? What is the most vulnerable judgment about yourself? It really is that one thing that is so unconscious that you may not even be aware of what is holding you back. And I know, Dave, we're going to talk a little bit about the inner voices later, and I'll relate back to what I just said as we get deeper into this conversation. But Genius Unlocked came from the fact that I have been a full-time entrepreneur since about 2002 when I got pregnant with my first daughter. Yet before that, I was part-time entrepreneur, and I don't even know really what that was stirring inside of me. But I realized that as I was growing my entrepreneur business, my entrepreneurness since about 1997, that there were different thresholds of things where I would like, oh, I can do something, and then I would be stopped. And then I'd get through it and I'd go to the next thing, and then something would stop me. And then I'd go to the next thing, and then something would stop me. So I started realizing what each of those levels were. And once I realized what the unconscious blocks are, then you'll be able to move forward. So Genius Unlocked became itself when I was a business coach at first. So in the early 2000s, I was coaching. I could support any entrepreneur get to six figures, multiple six figures, seven figures. But Dave, this was the challenge. They wouldn't do what I told them to do. And I'm not sure if anyone here
Come on,
has
that doesn't
ever
apply
experienced
to
that.
any entrepreneur. You must be thinking of somebody else, Jen. Come
I
on.
must be, because I'd be like, here's your plan.
Yeah.
Here's the how to do it, right? Because all entrepreneurs, all of you online, well, just tell me how, Jen. Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I would tell them how. And then I started realizing, I'm like, why are they not doing it? Because of what's going on inside of their head. And they don't even know what they don't know. So first off, no matter what you hear in this conversation, ladies and gentlemen, please understand, please do not blame, shame yourself. You didn't know what you didn't know until today. And now that you're going to know, then you can start taking steps to shift it. But that was how it kind of happened. I was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do here? Because I couldn't figure out why they wouldn't do what I said. I'm like, this is what you do.
Right.
And then I was like, okay. So then the next iteration was I started learning more about mindset work. I'd always done personal development, but I didn't understand personal development and shifting the programming in your unconscious mind are two completely different things. So that's when I walked into my first neuro-linguistic programming NLP training. And I was really struggling at that time in my marriage. We can get into that a little bit. And I walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to save my marriage. And instead I saved myself. So I was a cop's wife for 25 years. And I just did not want to be one of those statistics. And I realized that really it's about what's going on inside of me. So then we shifted into the neuro-linguistic programming, timeline therapy, all the different things that we're coaching. And then I was the director of coaching for an international company, and I started realizing that the way that, which was great for him, to each his own, no judgment here. He just really wanted to focus on the income that he was producing. So it was about a $1.5 million company. I was running all of the back end and the fulfillment and the coaching. And I'm like, I want to do more. I really, really want to do more. I want to help people at the depths of what is really going on. I don't want to just stay at the surface level. So then my business partner and I were both working there. He was my assistant coaching director, and we started Genius Unlocked. And where did Genius Unlocked come from is we truly believe that every single person on this planet has a genius inside of them. And what happens is you get so busy focused on what you think someone else is telling you to focus on that you miss what is the genius inside of you. So we support you in going inside, releasing that most vulnerable judgment about yourself so that you can shine your light. That is your true genius, not just what someone told you to do in order to make money or grow your business or whatever. It comes from inside. So that's the short of it. Believe it or not, Dave, that's the short story of how Genius. I've been doing this a long time. I could talk just an hour on that.
No, I love it. And I think that, again, I come from the side, like you said, where we're so darn busy, we're going so fast, right? That very often, I mean, we struggle slowing down enough to do any type of introspection or any type of, self-awareness, information, anything that has to do with us. It's real easy to look out and say, give the customer a better experience, build the team better. It's really easy to do that. So how do you get that? I mean, that's like the first spot, right? So you just said, that you don't know what you don't know. And so for somebody listening now that's thinking, and I'll use myself because, I'll be happy to say that I don't know right now, Jenn, what's holding me back. And I don't even know if there is anything holding me back. I mean, I don't sit up at night wondering, wishing, hoping, right? So I don't know what that looks like. So kind of start us at the beginning if you can, because somebody might be like, I think something's holding me back, but I'm not sure, or maybe I don't even know, it might be a blind spot. So how do you start with somebody in this?
Beautiful question. And I love answering this question. So I'm going to really, for all of you that are on the line that don't, if I speak in jargon by accident, Dave will circle back.
I'm on the jargon patrol. We're good.
You'll be like, what does that mean? So this is how you can really check. It's going to sound a little interesting, a little different. And I warned Dave, I said, Dave, we think differently around here. So this is going to be a new concept for some of you, and it's just totally great. So what we say is what is inside your unconscious mind? This is based in Carl Jung, perception is projection. Okay. And I do have a degree in psychology. So this is sort of where I came from this. And I've been studying this for the last at least 15 years, if not longer. So Carl Jung is everything in your environment outside of you is a projection of what is going on inside of you. It is a mirror. Okay. So this is how you check what you don't know. So what is conscious projects positively. Conscious meaning you're aware of it. You know what you don't know. You're like, I know I don't know how to do sales, Jenn, or I know that I'm stuck in sales. I know I get scared picking up the phone. I know my conversions are only 20%, not 40. Like, those things. Okay. That is going to project positively in the sense that you're going to see other people that you want to model. Okay. So it's conscious, it, and it's going to project positively. Now, this is where awareness equals the success. What is in unconscious projects negatively. So if you have a negative experience in anything, in any area of life, it's because your unconscious mind is saying, hello, there's something you're not paying attention to, and I'm trying to bring your awareness I'm trying to bring that conscious. So I know that was a lot of words. So let me say it one more time. So I use this as an example. So please know that this is a silly example, yet it makes the point. So here you go. I've got my Starbucks here. My clients know I'm obsessed with Star Wars and coffee. Okay. Jenn is Star Wars and coffee all the time. That's my fun side. You walk into Starbucks or Pete's or your favorite coffee place. and the barista is amazing. Your coffee is extra good. The barista's like, "Good morning, Dave." And you're like, "Good morning, Jen." And everything is just coming up roses.
Okay.
That is an example of you're conscious, you're aware, and everything is going good in your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind's happy as a clam.
Okay.
So then the next day you walk in and your barista is crabby, doesn't look you in the eye, your coffee's wrong, they say your name completely wrong, and the line is forever, it's cold, and you're just like, what? And then you start blaming them.
Okay.
Why is Starbucks not doing this? Why is Pete's Coffee not doing this? That person's in a bad day. Why are they crashing my mood? Ladies and gentlemen, that is your unconscious mind projecting out in front of you that something's going on inside. You need to go look at it. So that's step one.
Okay.
So do I have you all? Does that make sense, Dave? Do you have any follow-up questions on step one?
Yeah, so I'm curious because if I walk in and I'm having a good day and they're having a good day versus I walk in and I'm having a good day and they're having a bad day is kind of what I'm hearing.
Yes, that is so you're conscious when you're having a good day, you're conscious of what you know needs to be done.
Okay.
The fact that they're, quote, having a bad day is you don't know what you don't know. It's what's unconscious. That's what you have to pay attention to.
Gotcha.
That is your clue. If you don't know what you don't know, when you figure out, and I'll tell you how to analyze that on the next step. I just wanted to catch everybody there. So if you're in a bad mood and they're in a bad mood, your unconscious mind's really talking to you. Okay. If you're in a good mood and they're in a bad mood, you're unconsciously aware. You don't know, you're unconscious. You don't know what you don't know. If everyone's having a great day, then you need to, right at that moment, when you recognize that everyone's having a good day, you get into inspired action productivity. Because when you're unconscious, if you're having a good day and they're having a bad day, if you guys track what you do for the day, I bet you're really busy and you're not productive.
So I guess I'm going to just jump right in because I don't know the answer to this question. That's why I'm asking. Sure. How does I'm having a good day, right? I walk in and I'm having a good day and I order whatever I order and I feel like I'm in control of my emotions. I'm in control of my own life here. Life is going good. I've always thought, well, it sucks to be you having a bad day, right? I mean, so I'm assuming right. This is where we're going to get into it because that's my limited mind of thinking, wow, sorry you're having a bad day. I'm still going to have a good day, but sucks to be you kind of thing. So okay. Where am I off?
Perfect. I love this. Okay. Step two. So step one was figuring it out. Okay. Step two.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So this, and I can even use a bigger example. So, sure. But let's stay with the barista for right now. Okay. So step two is so this is the exercise that you guys do. Okay. So if you really want to own your unconscious mind and you want to reprogram it so that you can have everything that you want in all areas of life, not just business and family, relationships, spirituality, health, anything, you want to carry a little notebook around with you. And here's the exercise. You walk in, barista's having a bad day. You say to yourself, sucks to be you. Somewhere in your life, you feel that it sucks to be you. So what's step number two? It's not necessarily a direct projection. So step number two is you write down all of the negative thoughts and emotions that you have about your barista having a bad day. And you write down what qualities and characteristics do you see in them. So maybe you say like they're bad customer service. They shouldn't be working in the service industry. Why? You need to keep your crap at home. Okay, whatever comes up for you.
Yep.
Sucks to be you. So what you want to do is everything that you perceive about that person. They're crabby, write down crabby. They were rude, write down rude.
Okay.
Quality. So you want to write down all of your negative thoughts and emotions and all of the qualities and characteristics negatively that you see in them. Then this is where you get to decide if you want to really know what's going on with you. Because if you do, you'll take that list, step three. Step three, you take that list and you look at it and you're like, oh snap, where does any of this show up in any area of my life? So it's never a direct projection. So I get this. So this is where I'm going to go to a bigger example. So I had one of our clients ask me a similar question. They were like, what about Hitler? And I'm like, you're not Hitler. Okay. You're not Hitler. It's not a direct projection. Okay. You're not everything he was. So release that thought. It's not a direct projection. It's when you think about Hitler, and we're all free from this, of course. What are the negative thoughts and emotions? What are the negative qualities that you see about him? So let's say you say he's narcissistic. Mm-hmm. Then you come back to your life and you go in anywhere. Like let's say he's a 10 on a 10 scale of narcissistic. Let's just say that. Yet your definition of narcissism, you go back into your list and you're like, oh, I'm maybe like a 1 out of 10 when it comes to dealing with my friend Bob. Do you see what you're doing there? Mm-hmm. So people who just don't even, Hitler never enters their scope of anything.
Sure.
Then they're not projecting on it. They just are like, well, that sucks. Like, what a jerk, or, whatever they say. Yep. Those that get riled up about something, and it has nothing to do with morality. Of course, what was happening, it's not about the right or the wrong or the morality. So don't confuse those. You're projecting on it because inside of you, whatever your negative thoughts and emotions of that, the barista or Hitler is somewhere inside of you. And that's your unconscious mind saying, hello, pay attention to me. There's something going on in here. And then you can release Hitler. You can release a barista. You can go over here and say like, I'm stuck here in health. I'm stuck here in business. I'm stuck here in money. Does that make sense? So that's your 3 steps.
Okay. I like steps 1 and 2. I'm not really into step 3. I think that's right.
That's why the business is going well, because people are like, I don't want to look there.
Right. Exactly. Let's look somewhere else.
That's ownership. Exactly. That's ownership.
Exactly.
So what happens, so I just want to say something really quick on that. So this is what I love about what you just said, Dave, is when you find yourself, any of you, for anything at all, when you find yourself to be the victim of a circumstance, okay, a victim of a hater on social media, a victim of getting rear-ended at a stoplight, a victim of the vote that just happened, the victim of the pandemic, whatever you find yourself to feel the victim of, there's nothing wrong with you. So that's another thing. People are like, well, whatever. You have to be willing to go inside and say, what am I projecting on the pandemic? Some people thrived and some people didn't. What did you think about the pandemic? So that somewhere inside of you, if you feel like you don't have any control over anything, then go look at where you don't have control of something in your life, and then you can shift it. So it's not about the pandemic. It's about what do you feel about it. It's all from inside. So people think that it's outside filling their inside. It's your inside that's projecting out.
Gotcha.
So if you can own that.
Sure.
And then that's the key to that is, like we had said earlier, about is really tuning into your intuition. So that's how the reason step 3 is scary for some people is because they're like, well, I don't know what to do with that. Well, that's where your intuition comes in.
So for the typical entrepreneur that's running around with their hair on fire and their whole goal,
me,
right? Their whole goal is to make payroll or to pay the rent, build a couple of, programs to improve some customer experience, whatever, it seems mundane. It seems business related. It doesn't have a ton of purpose. It doesn't feel like something like I'm going to change the world. I just want to create a spreadsheet to make my life easier. Right. That's what I'm trying. that's our reality, you're not,
It is.
right? That's our reality. So I'm trying to kind of marry these two together where
Perfect.
how do you take those 3 steps and then create something? How does that help you in your day-to-day activity, I guess, is the more.
Beautiful. Love that question. Yes. So first of all, we have to really, you really as an entrepreneur have to decide and figure out, and this is a little bit of work, okay? You have to decide and figure out, where are you busy and where are you productive?
Okay.
Because busy is keeping your unconscious mind busy, not taking the intuitive hits on what is productive. Okay. So if you are wanting to, like, all that stuff where you are like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? I'm trying to make payroll. I don't want to do this. That is still, what are the negative thoughts and emotions that you think about when you have to do that paperwork?
Okay.
So it's the same concept. So most of the time, when you're in what we, in your intuitive hit state, when you're in that flow, let's just call it flow. Okay. If you're in that flow, that spreadsheet, you'll do it in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Because y'all have done it. There's been times in your business when you have just done what needed to be done. And then there's times in your business where you dread what you have to do. Again, that's just a projection. So if you are trying to make payroll and you're worried about how to keep the lights on, I've been there. Then you need to understand, where are you projecting on money? So you want to look at, when I think about money, most of the time, and again, I'm making a huge generalization because it's just you and I talking.
Sure.
Most of the time, it's going to come down to deserving. You don't feel you deserve it.
Okay.
So for me, quick story is, I'm the oldest grandchild and I'm a girl. And I'm the only other entrepreneur in the family. Well, my grandfather was the entrepreneur. Him and I were the two entrepreneurs. Well, we clashed heads the most. Number one, I was number one, and I was a girl. I grew up. My mom grew up in a way that women were to be seen and not heard.
Sure.
Well, if you've only been listening to me for a few minutes, I do not have a problem talking, nor am I quiet. So we had a lot of conflict. I used to be sent from the dinner table because I would ask questions and I would question and I would do all this stuff. So I had this conflict in my mind from growing up about my grandfather. Well, then also he was what my family called a shyster.
Oh,
they called him a shyster.
I haven't heard that in a while.
Ladies and gentlemen, he was in real estate. It wasn't like he was selling things out of the back of his car. He was in real estate, but my family didn't understand shyster. So I grew up with a conflict. I'm just like my grandfather. Yet he told me I was to be seen and not heard. My voice was suppressed, and my family called him a shyster.
Gotcha.
So I grew up wanting more, because your unconscious mind always wants more. So I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you are never going to arrive. Your unconscious mind, I'm obsessed with how the brain works, which is what I've been studying for the last 15 years. Okay. What's going on in your brain? Your unconscious mind will always want more. You will never be satisfied. Quit trying to be satisfied. You'll always want more. So what happens is I would slingshot. I'd make 6 figures, I'd slingshot back. I'd make multiple 6 figures, I'd slingshot back. Made $1 million, slingshot back. Now we're at $2 million, don't want to slingshot back anymore. We're pretty much up and to the right because I figured out what was going on, right? So what's going on is you have a conflict in your unconscious mind. You want more, yet you think you're a shyster. You don't want your family to call you a shyster. You don't want your family to be, so you start telling yourself these stories. And that's actually what's stopping you. So what is really stopping you from creating the business that you want, or making payroll, or has nothing to do with your ability to make payroll or to earn money. It has everything to do with, what story are you telling yourself that is unconscious. It means it's down here that you don't know that your problem. I'm like, what is going on? I know I would make this. You'd make 6 figures. You'd make $100,000. You'd spend $101,000. You're still broke.
Yeah.
When it comes to money, quit asking for money and start thriving for profit.
Yeah.
Money isn't get you. You can have money. Here, I'll give you $1. You made more money.
Right.
Profit is your new word.
Wow. Well, so that's why you then talked about mindset work as well, correct? Because it sounds like there's a pretty fundamental mindset shift that goes along with this, because it's hard to think one way and act a different, if I'm kind of seeing.
Yes. So personal development is very conscious level, in my opinion. Again, I'm making a stroke of some of you are in personal development. So this, just understand this as a general, I'm just trying to redefine some words because everybody has different definitions of words. So
Sure.
personal development is make a vision board, do affirmations in the mirror, tell yourself you're amazing. Fair, yet your problems are unconscious. So mindset shifts is you deserve to reprogram what is going on unconsciously. Only dealing with what's conscious is only going to deal with the problem that's right in front of you. It's not going to stop you from repeating the pattern.
Okay.
Your unconscious mind's going to keep projecting what you're not paying attention to. So that's the difference between personal development and mindset. You deserve to reprogram the neuron. You have a neurological connection in your brain. We call it a complex equivalent. Oh, that's a jargon word. What does that mean, Jen? It means you make two things equal each other that aren't true. I used to think money equals shyster.
Okay.
Not true. So I made these two words equal each other. So that means my unconscious mind, every time I would make money, they'd be like, oh, snap, I'm going to be called a shyster. And I would either spend it or reinvest it till I broke and I reprogrammed my unconscious mind. And I did not make those things equal each other anymore. Then I shifted to profit. Now our company, and again, none of this is to impress any of you. It's just to impress upon you when you make that shift. I went from 15 years of reinvesting, even when I was making multiple six figures, I was still, quote, broke, to now our company offers health insurance. We have a 401k. We have, we do international retreats. Again, not to impress you, but press upon you. When you break whatever is stuck unconscious that you don't know is connected,
Sure.
you can then say, this is what I want, and then achieve it. So Dave, I want to share one more thing. Are you good? Can I share one more thing before, or do you, okay. So this is the visual that I love that. This is also auditory, but I know it's also video. So those of you who are listening to it, just imagine a scale of 1 to 10. Okay. So here's where you guys are all at. So this is how I like to use this, what I just said. So you're all here. Let's just call it a 0. You're just here at a 0. Your goal is your 10.
Okay.
So your conscious mind is your goal setter, but your unconscious mind is your goal getter. Because if you set a goal of I want to make $1 million, but your unconscious mind says you don't deserve it because money equals shyster, you ain't gonna get it.
Right.
But you can set it all day long. So how many of you have set goals and hit it easily and effortlessly? It's because you and your conscious and your unconscious mind were in agreement. How many of you guys have set goals and can't hit them? How many of you set the same freaking goal and then you just don't hit it? It's because your conscious mind wants it. Your unconscious mind's like, So this is what you do. So here's your 0 and here's your goal.
Okay.
All of this gap is your negative thoughts and emotions and your unconscious stuff. So when you clean that up, when you do that exercise, when you release it, when you reprogram your brain, then there's what happens. You hit your goal. And that becomes, this is the important part, this becomes your new 0.
Okay.
So some of you will say, I've hit my goals, Jen, but I feel like I'm still broken. God, if I hear that one more time, I want to hug that out of my clients. I'm still broken, Jen, because they forget what they did to get through from this 0 to, because it comes your new 0, because it becomes fully integrated. And your unconscious mind doesn't remember the stuff you just got rid of. So now you have a 0.
Is that a clinical term? Is that
stuff? Yep, stuff. Well, I got to be careful. Sometimes some language will come out accidentally, and I'll be like, ooh, stuff. Okay. So then here's your new 0. But guess what? Your unconscious mind wants more. So you're like, but I want to do this. And you're like, cool. So you clean up all this. We
Sure.
figured out about every $250,000 you make in your business, you have to have a mindset shift.
Gotcha.
So your first 100,000, for those of you who are newer entrepreneurs and looking for your first six figures, that's believe it or not, that's your biggest jump. That's when your biggest stuff from unconscious you're going to clean up. Once you hit the first six figures, when you get to 250, you'll have another zero. Then you'll be at zero, and then you'll go to you go to 500,000 a year, and then you'll just miss the million because you're like, oh, seven figure. There's some stuff in there. And the thing is, this is where I want to give you guys some grace. I want you guys to give yourself some grace, please. And I'm going to give you permission to give yourself grace. If you are at $8,000 a month, if you're at $5,000 a month, please don't set goals for $1 million. Please do not do that to yourselves. Set your goal where you feel in alignment, in congruency. And I promise you, it will happen faster when you understand the step up. Because whatever you need to release to go from 750 to $1 million is not the same stuff you have to release to go from 5,000 a month to 9,000 or 10,000 a month. They're different. And then you start blaming and shaming yourself. And then you think, I'm not good. And then you start reinstalling, I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not loved. I don't have a voice. Whatever baloney you're telling yourself. And I call it baloney because it's still real. I get it. It's still real. Yet it's an illusion. And our goal is to support you in breaking that illusion so that you can reach whatever you want in your life. We are here on this planet to reach our goals, but we're also here for a human experience. So the human experience is understanding the conscious and the unconscious, the light and the dark, and getting through whatever you need to get through. That's what makes this a human experience. Yet you still deserve to have everything that you want.
So if I go all the way back to my original question about what's holding you back, I really have identified from what I've heard from you that I'm really the one holding myself back. I mean, that's what I get the feeling that
yes, it's your negative thoughts and emotions.
Jenn, I want to blame somebody else, right? I want to blame the government or the weather, my competitor, my customer, right? Those are all super easy.
Oh yeah, it's easy.
Or my team. That's always fun too, to do that. But, as we sit and think about this as entrepreneurs and the realization starts to set in that I have a lot to do with this, I think that's where you were talking as we start to land today. You were talking about the four voices.
Yes.
So if you can kind of share with us what those are, be able to kind of put all this into context, that'd be a huge help.
Absolutely. And what you said is super powerful. So I want to make sure everyone heard what you just said. So I want to reinforce it. There's nothing wrong with the fact that your challenges are all inside of you. It's actually exciting because you can control what's going on inside of you. You cannot control what's going on inside of someone else.
Correct. Yeah.
And so it actually is very empowering to realize that. Now, it might be fun at first. Like I was realizing when I was coming to the realization that I deserved to have a divorce, it was a very high conflict. It was very, very high conflict. Yet at the end of the whole 2 years that it took, because it took a long time because it was high conflict. Now, even our high conflict mediator was like, I don't even understand who the two of you are anymore. Like she goes, I'm a high conflict mediator. No one ever is happy at the end. Yeah. She goes, I don't even understand how you guys are completely different people. Well, he didn't change. I did.
Sure.
So the main thing for you to understand is you are your own guru. Please don't go out looking for some other guru. So don't with all of our clients, we're like, look, we've got the tools, we've got the support, we can support you in you realizing the genius is inside of you and you're your own guru. We're just here to show you the tools and the path for you to figure out. It's like, you really want tools, not rules. So that's what I mean by tools, not rules. This is the four voices. So you have your four voices inside of your head. You have your inner critic, your inner child, your inner ego, and your intuition. So anytime that you're figuring out, or when you say out loud or in your own head, I want this, which I is talking? You got to figure out which I is talking. Because if it's not your intuition and it's the other three, they're warning signs. So the first thing I want to share with you about the inner child, the inner critic, and the inner ego, please, please, please do not blame, shame, tell them to shut up, give them a nasty name, lock them in the back of your mind in a cage, which is what I went to a personal development event, and that's what they had me do. No, they are part of you.
Fair.
So you're just creating conflict inside of your own brain. No, these three inner voices are warning lights. They're your gaslight coming on. They're the little annoying battery in the smoke detector that goes off at 3 a.m. and you will go to 7-Eleven at 3 a.m. to get a new battery.
Yep.
They are the warning light saying, hello, Dave, there's something going on unconsciously. So this is what your three inner voices look like. Your inner ego wants to be right. Your inner ego wants to dig in. Your inner ego shows up defensive and stake in the ground.
Okay.
Because it's trying to protect the identity that you adopted that served you at one point, but is no longer serving you. So my inner ego kicked in like I was a cop's wife, 25 years. I was not going to be a statistic. Was not going to be another divorced cop's wife. I was going to be the perseverance one, okay? So my ego was digging in because it was protecting that identity. I run a multi-7-figure coaching business. How do I get divorced? No, it's because I run that I got divorced because the relationship didn't serve me anymore.
Sure.
But my ego dug in for probably a little bit longer than it should have.
Okay.
So now your inner critic comes up wants to keep you in that identity that you've created because it's got an unsubstantiated fear of the unknown. Your inner critic is scared of the unknown. It doesn't know what's on the quote the other side. So it tells you if you do that, this is what's going to happen. If you do that, this is what's going to happen. If you step out there, you're not good enough. You know better. You're not deserving. You don't get that money. You're a shyster. Don't you remember? So it's trying to keep you in the problem that it knows how to deal with.
Okay.
So that's your inner critic. Now your inner child is the hurt, sad part of you. Your inner child is the one that is, it's not necessarily fear. Fear more comes from your inner critic. Your inner child is hurt and sad.
Okay.
So it's afraid that you're going to go out there and do something and it's going to get hurt again. So what it does is those three voices bubble up to the surface. What is unconscious, what you've programmed, what complex equivalence, remember those two things that equal things that don't need to equal? They're bubbling it up to the surface. So your intuition can give you the learnings meaning, again, that's jargon. It gives you the positive qualities and characteristics about yourself. It gives you the solutions to those challenges. It lets you know that you are loved, you are deserving, and it brings to front all of the evidence that you are amazing, that you forget when your other three voices are talking. So your intuition is the translator between your conscious and your unconscious mind. Your conscious mind wants this goal. Your unconscious mind says, no way. Then your intuition goes, well, remember, Dave, you are brave. You are strong. You are courageous. You are compassionate. You are magical. You're intuitive. You're a genius. You're a leader. You're focused. You're determined. You're tenacious. And then your conscious mind goes, oh yeah, you're right. I am. And then your intuition will give you an inspired action, like go make a spreadsheet. And you'll go make the spreadsheet in 5 minutes.
Sure.
So if that question where you talked about like, where am I at if I'm trying to make the payroll, if I've got to make this spreadsheet, and you're those are your three inner voices trying to talk to you.
Gotcha.
They're trying to say, what is holding you back? And then your intuition says, it also gives you those intuitive hits. Your intuition is like, no. This is what it represents. You need to go understand that you have an unconscious block around not deserving. You have an unconscious block where you're feeling unloved. You have an unconscious block because you feel you're not worthy. And all of those come from, believe it or not, how you grew up. Whether you, I grew up, my parents are still married, got a brother, a dog, 2 weeks vacation once. I used to say I'm vanilla. I'm not gonna inspire anybody. I'm freaking vanilla.
Mhm.
There's nothing special. I didn't overcome anything. And I used to literally downplay myself because I'm vanilla.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I'm really not vanilla. I've had a lot of struggles and things in my life. I struggled with infertility. I, went through a divorce. I had all this stuff. We moved around a lot. And
Sure.
I never felt like I fit in, but I didn't realize that. So your inner voices, I want you to communicate with them. The challenge is, Dave, is most people have their other three, their inner critic, inner ego, and inner child, run about 80% of their thoughts, and your
Yeah.
intuition runs about 20. My job, my goal, my purpose, my genius is to help people shift that. So it's 20% your warning lights and 80% your intuition, where you get inspired to take an action that will
Gotcha.
lead you to what you want.
Wow. Easier said than done, right? All you
That's
got
why
to
I love doing podcasts. And then I
yeah,
give them this beautiful free gift to start the journey.
sure.
So, but that's what it is. It's like, being an entrepreneur, I don't care what anybody says. It's about your work ethic, but it's freaking hard.
Yeah,
Why? Because you're not just waiting for somebody to tell you what to do.
right.
Being an entrepreneur, you are on this planet to do more, be more, help more, inspire more, empower more.
Yeah.
That it takes a special somebody to be an entrepreneur, because you know what? You're willing to look at your stuff. You're willing to look at your stuff because every single one of you, I don't care what your business level is, you're a CEO. Whether you have 10 team members, 20 team members, or
Hmm.
you and your dog and your cat, and
Yep.
you talk to them and you have a board meeting with your animal because you're a CEO, which means everything comes from inside of you and it projects out. So you're always going to have something that you have to work through. Human experience. So the first thing, you can accept that, then it gets easier. Like, oh great, this is just the learnings I get to have today. Why don't I not want to do the spreadsheet? Why am I worried about payroll? What's going on here? And any other challenges that you have. Right now we're working through team. We need to up level our team. Love our team. Our team has done amazing, yet we're growing and we need different roles. We need more managers, less doers, right?
Mm,
Because my business partner and we need to come out of our business a little bit more.
sure.
We can't be in fulfillment. So it's like, we couldn't have those thoughts when it was just him and I 4 years ago.
Right.
We had to do everything. Well, when you get to that's what I'm saying. Stop asking for problems. That you deal with the problems that you have at the level that you're at, or challenges, I like to say, the level that you're at. Entrepreneurs, the more you grow, you're going to have different challenges. I never thought I would have to come more out of fulfillment and more in the holding the vision. The
Sure.
more of you that can hold the vision, those are true entrepreneurs. How do you hold the vision? You connect with your intuition.
Mm.
But you
Wow.
got to do everything first for those new ones, for those new entrepreneurs, right? You're doing everything. Man, I was
We,
building funnels.
we want to
I
start at the
was
end and work our way backwards. Way easier, right?
I used to think it was easier. Heck no. What I would like to say is, what's your 10? Clean it up, and that'll be your new 0, and then go from there and really develop your intuition. You do that, you everything becomes easier. Everything becomes easier when you take the inspired action versus what you think you have to do or what you're avoiding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't
Well,
want to
that's
leave them with that thought, Dave.
no, right? No, and I mean, Jen, we've just scratched the surface of this, and I know there's so much more to this. And my goal every week is to give people, expose them to some ideas that maybe they haven't thought of before. And this is, definitely one for me that, I mean, prior to talking with you, I took a bunch of notes, and now I want to blame you for holding me back. So that's going to be super easy, right?
Beautiful. I'll
Right.
take it.
There you go. No, but the reality is that, yeah, I have to look at the intuition, the ego, the child, and the critic, and see exactly what is happening there. So for people that are, this kind of piqued their curiosity, you had
Yes.
mentioned a free gift, kind of a
Yes.
starting spot. So how does that work?
So it is we true one of my let me not try to say three sentences at once, Dave, because I'm so excited.
Perfect.
How about I start over?
That'll work.
I got super
This is
excited. I wanted to
Positive
say
Polarity Podcast. Thanks for coming today. We don't have to start that far back. Okay,
no.
sorry.
No. Okay. So, one of my true geniuses that I have figured out over this journey is to take all of our 8 coaching modalities and create meditations that support you in reprogramming your unconscious mind.
Okay.
That's sort of what it is. So we truly believe that we don't meditate to relax. We meditate to get the learnings. Now, I'm not saying you don't relax when you meditate, you do, yet that's not the purpose. When you listen to Genius Unlocked meditations, they are like, oh, I'm going to fall peacefully asleep. Unless you're listening to a sleep hypnosis, all of the other meditations are designed with all of our 8 modalities to bring up what is unconscious, make it conscious, get the learning so that you can grow.
Sure.
So that was the 2 things. So the free gift is our unlocking intuition. It's keys to unlocking your intuition. It's 23 meditations that take you from 0 to hero around your intuition. So if some of you on the line are like, I didn't even know I had an intuition, these will support you. Some of you may be saying on the line, I know I've got one, but I don't trust it. These
Sure.
meditations are for you. Some of you are like, I trust it, but I don't take the inspired action when I should. These meditations are for you. So the key to this is to listen to them in order. You do not have to listen to them every day. If you want to jumpstart this, you'll listen to one every day. More importantly, listen to them in order. So how do you get these meditations? Super simple. All you're going to do is text the word intuition. And I know this will be in the show notes for those of you that are driving. It's 650-402-2699. Now, I know that you're an international podcast, and we just did another podcast where we had like 17 people from New Zealand wanting, and they're like, I don't know how to text that number. In the show notes, I'll give you our customer care email. It's just customercare@genesunlock.coach. If you can't get a text number to the US number, which again is 650-402-2699. Dave, if you don't mind, put our customer care in there. All they have to do is say, hey, I was on listening to Dave's Positive Polarity podcast. I want that giveaway Jenn said, and they will get you connected to that. All right, everyone. So that is what my gift to you is to please learn to connect more with your intuition. All of your answers are solved when you understand that piece.
I'll tell you what, very rarely do we hear all your problems are solved. So
Intuition.
There you go. I love that.
You created all your problems, which means all your solutions are yours too.
No,
and that
you
don't want to hear it.
Jenn. These are your fault. Come on, we both know this is your fault, not mine. So
That's right.
as we close today, just want to, encourage people that are listening. It might be like new, it might be scary, it might be like, holy cow, but the reality is that if you sit with it for a little bit, like I did, it started to all of a sudden make some sense. And so if you have a desire to reach out and to connect with Jenn more, what would be the best way for those people, Jenn, to connect with you?
Love that. So it depends on what modality you want to connect with. Probably the easiest way would be to get the free intuition, the 3 intuitions, and then you can email customercare@geniusunlock.coach, and that'll be in the show notes, and just say, hey, I want to connect and schedule a call with Jenn, and we will make sure that you get on my calendar. I would love to talk to anybody about anything related to this, whether you want to be a coach, you are a coach. Here's the key. Everyone in the world deserves to understand coaching skills to implement in all areas of your life. I'm the mom of 2 teenage girls. I need coaching skills. I went through a divorce, coaching skills. I'm working on my health, coaching skills. I have friends, coaching skills. I don't go on podcasts, coaching skills. So I would love to talk to anyone that would have any questions at all. No question is too small or insignificant. Just reach out via email. And then of course, we're on all the socials. We're Genius Unlocked on Facebook, on Instagram and LinkedIn. And I know they'll all be in the show notes. So just connect there, but please reach out if this is something that you'd like to talk more about. Yes, I know people are like, well, Jenn, aren't you too busy? I'm not busy as much as I used to be. I'm very productive, and a conversation with you guys is very productive for me.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I wrote down busy versus productive. So that's one thing I'm gonna sit with for a little bit. Thank you so much, Jenn,
My
for
pleasure.
opening up your day to us and to the listeners around the world. Hopefully they have taken something from this. And I always say, if you don't like this, blame her. If you do like it, then tell me about it. But the reality is that, you know what, I think there's some really powerful opportunities here. I love the fact that it's me that's holding me back because I can work on that rather than it's somebody that's outside my control. So that was my number one takeaway with that. So thank you again for
My
that. And
pleasure.
I can't wait to keep learning from you, and I look forward to starting the 23 meditations journey. So I'm looking forward
Thank
to
you.
it.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you, Dave, so much. And just focus on getting 1% better every day, ladies and gentlemen. That's all you need to do.
Awesome.